Good morning, everyone. If you're joining us, hope your day's going well. Hey, don't forget UFL Day is today and tomorrow. We got a couple games coming up on Saturday. I want to welcome Avión Plumber to the show. He's been on before. You see his posts on Twitter. How you doing, Avión?
I'm doing well, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good. Hanging in there, Week 6, ready to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a good day for football.
No doubt, no doubt. So, how's things your way, man, since last we chatted?
Um, been busy, just watching, keeping up with UFL and what's been going on. It's been a exciting summer and then off season for the UFL. And for us fans to finally, ha- have the UFL with the USFL and the XFL back. So for me, just bring that passion and just watching what's going on. It's been an exciting time since the last time we talked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has been quite a time. What we talked a year ago about this time, right? I mean, it wasn't too much later, maybe a couple months.
Yeah, yeah. So it's you know a lot of stuff happened, a lot of positives, with this new league, and yeah, let's hope let's hope it keeps going.
Yes, sir. So we wanted to talk today just to discuss some injury updates. And we've had a few injuries across the board. We figured this was going to happen coming into the season. Certain teams are affected a little more than others for sure. And we'll
Yeah.
see what happens this week with these games. But yeah, let's just get straight to it, man. We're just
All
going to
right.
discuss the injuries and then we're going to roll off air and try to watch these games.
All right. Awesome. Let's do it.
All right, so our first game today, it's the Birmingham Stallions at Memphis Showboats. It's 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. It's on ABC. All right, guys. So remember ABC today, the first one. Just wanted to talk about the injuries we had for these games specifically. I'm gonna pop them up real quick. We'll start with the Stallions. The Stallions are leading the charge in the UFL currently, 5-0.
Hmm.
Pretty much looking unstoppable right now, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, here we go. All right. So we had a couple probables out right here, but I mean, as it goes, the Stallions are looking pretty good. They got JoJo Tillery. He'll be out today. Everybody else is good to go, correct?
Yes. Everybody else is good to go. Damon Lord been dealing with a shoulder injury. Had limited practice this week, but was a full go at practice on Thursday. The same thing with Kenny Robinson Jr. and Amani Teller. You know, he Amani Teller suffered a concussion, but he was a full go in practice this week. Um, but a lot of these guys, I know Coach Holtz took time with these guys in practice to make sure everything was okay. And they look like they're full go. The Stallions are number one in the league in offense. And defensively, it's they're nothing to snatch at. So the Stallions are pretty good. Going in against the Memphis Showboats.
Yes, sir. So bringing up their depth chart real quick. I mean, they're looking pretty good in most of their positions. These are the same guys that have been playing so far. We had a couple
Yeah.
guys retire and get hurt or whatever, but otherwise, this team's pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said before, this is the pretty much similar to same team from last season, championship squad. So a lot of these players are used to the system and know how to take care of the body and stuff like that, and they have an amazing coaching staff in Birmingham. So that should be inspected. Especially this season, where they are 5-0, undefeated, the only undefeated team. So right now, yeah, they look like they're all good health.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Agreed. So let's roll into Memphis then, since we're done with them. We go back to the injury chart. Now, guys, keep in
Hmm.
mind this came out Thursday. It was updated yesterday, though, for some of the teams. But as you can see, this Thursday was the last day that they indicate. So we don't know what
Yeah.
happened Friday. I'm guessing they're off, of course. But anyway, let's go right into Memphis. We had a lot of probables on Memphis this week. But honestly, most of these guys are playing. I mean, right now, Tunstall is out, so he'll be out.
Hmm.
Overton's out as well. Yeah, I believe most of these other guys are playing though. I'm gonna pull up
Yeah.
the inactive list real quick as well. But yeah, what do you think about the Memphis team, Avion?
The Memphis team, like I said, they had a lot of players limited in practice this week. None of them was a full goal in practice, which is, kind of concerning, especially with Vinny Papale, the wide receivers for the Memphis Showboats. Their star wide receiver, he's been dealing with a shoulder injury that been nagging him ever since that hit, a couple weeks ago. Vontae Diggs, their starting linebacker, has been dealing with hamstring issues. You know, kind of asking for a lot when you deal with a linebacker with hamstring issues to go from sideline to sideline. So we want to see how that holds up and see if he's going to be in the rotation in today's game on do third down, first or second, or is he going to get subbed out on some packages? But with Davis, Dylan Nee, and a couple of the wide receivers, Overton is out. Well, doubtful for today with a back injury. They're dealing with a lot, and with a team that's give up a lot of sacks this season. With Case Cookis, to have James Tunsil, offensive lineman, hurt as well. Memphis Showboats are struggling, and we're going to see if these players hold up today. But it didn't look too good, during practice this week for the Memphis Showboats.
No, sir. And then they have Case Williams. I'm saying now. You got me
Yeah,
saying that, Avion.
yeah, yeah,
They have Case Williams starting. Troy Williams started last week. It was curious to see that. I guess they were just trying to give him some time in the game to do his thing, and he really didn't do as bad as I thought he would. But you can tell he was running for his life in certain points, no doubt. I'm
I think
curious to see
yeah.
if Case is going to be okay today, or if he takes a couple big shots, and then we see more of Troy in this game.
Well, we got Case starting today, but I think we all remember that Birmingham game. With Case, it was kind of concerned to watch. To give up that many sacks, and and even Coach DeFilippo was kind of concerned as well, and took him out of the game. So Case is a warrior. He's one of the better quarterbacks in this league, but it's going to be interesting to see, can this offensive line hold up against this eh, um against Birmingham today. So yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt. Curious to see how many teams have offensive linemen in reserve or ready on secondary for backup positions, and then some others, they don't have many at all. For
Yeah,
example, like we'll look at Houston in a minute. Houston's got a lot of backup offensive linemen. Means they
yeah,
need to run the ball a little more, probably.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
let's roll on. Let's roll on to the Roughnecks right now. I'm
Yes,
gonna pull
sir.
this up. So we see here, Jeffrey Johnson, D tackle out. Tyrone Evans, running back out. Toby Johnson, D tackle out.
Yeah, for this that front seven for the Houston, for the Houston Roughnecks have been struggling a little bit. Toby Johnson has been dealing with injuries, according to reports. But as a defensively, they still rank fourth in the UFL. But are ranked seventh in stopping the run. So you got a lot of big boys down there. There are out like Toby Johnson, and and then you got a couple others out in that front seven. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it. We got both the Johnsons out, and then you have Little um, and Thomas, that were limited in practice this week. But Thomas seemed to prove he was a full goal on Wednesday and Thursday. But I think Coach Johnson is smart, and he will have these guys prepared today But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the defense line look like with especially Jeffrey Johnson being out with a concussion.
Yes, sir. Do you expect to see more of Mark Thompson today? I would imagine we would, but man, that St. Louis
Oh,
defense is a tough one. It's not an easy go for sure.
well, watching the press conference last week, they asked about, well, how come Mark Thompson did getting touches? And what I got from it is, I guess, because they was down early, they had to catch up, and they couldn't win the ball as much. So you should see a heavy dose of Mark Thompson. A guy in the first game that he came back, I believe he averaged like 60 yards a carry. So it's just kind of surprising to see, he didn't get any more touches, but maybe we might see more. We should, as you hear, Houston Roughnecks are at the bottom of the USFL conference, but anything's possible. But like I said, the main concern is on the defensive end and them stopping their run. It's seventh in the league, and stopping the run, and you got a couple of your defensive linemen out. Yeah, it's Houston Roughnecks got their work cut out for them.
Yes, sir. And speaking of that, I mean, they need to win today. Showboats and
Yeah,
Roughnecks, they have to
yeah,
win today. So we'll see what happens. But looking at the standings, they can't take any more losses, especially, if the other two teams win, it's putting things in a whole different category then.
yeah. The bright spot, for I guess for the Houston Roughneck is Reese Annette. He has been their consistent starter. It looks like all signs is him pointing for him to start for the rest of the season. So he has showed some spurts where that he is the guy. But if they keep on losing, will we see a change? But at this point in the season, it's not much you can do with the amount of roster spots you have to shuffle around, um, and everything like that. But yeah, it's a must need win for them today. It's a tall task because they are at St. Louis, so that crowd is going to be in their ear, and so we're going to see what C. Johnson and Mark Thompson and the boys, um, you know, what can they do today against this Battlehawks defense that has stepped up against the defenders and performed very well last week? I might add. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Agreed, sir. Agreed. This is going to be one of my good games to watch as well. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yes,
Most
sir.
people aren't, but I am. I have a soft spot for my Roughnecks.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
before I discuss St. Louis, I want to say the time real quick in case people forget. So this game is today, guys. It's Roughnecks at Battlehawks, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Okay, Fox. All
Mhm.
right, go ahead.
Yes. It is a 2 p.m. game Central Time, but it's a great day for I guess these fans to come out. It should be I expected around 30,000 fans today over, so it's going to be loud today.
Oh yeah, they're going to be ready to go, especially coming off these wins. That's a charged and ready crowd for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Let,
sir.
let's get right into the Battlehawks. So
Mm,
Austin Faoli, D tackle out. Jawan Bushell Beatty, tackle out. Tim Harris, cornerback out. Vidal Alexander, guard out. So last week, St. Louis kind of ran out of linemen there during that game against DC.
yeah.
And then in my mind, I thought we would see them do some more with their offensive line, but I mean, they won the game 45-12. So it's kind
Yeah.
of hard to say anything bad when you can still pull it off. What do you think about these injuries, Avión?
You know, when you think of this Battlehawks team in general, you think of grit and grind. You had Coach Anthony Bett say, we'll do whatever we have to do to win, even if we have to slide another tight end over, like to help out the offensive line. But at the same time, man, they deal with a lot. You got Alexander out with a calf injury. And you got Beatty out as well with a right foot injury. And you have Steven Gonzalez that was limited in practice. They didn't practice on Wednesday. Was questionable for today. So that means that he is dealing with that knee injury. He said he's full to go. That he's gonna be all right on social media, but there's some concerns there. And surprising enough, are the Battlehawks. They do have two reserve offensive linemen that's going to be joining um, with Goldman and then you have the same basically same starting five, but it's going to be interesting. You also got West coming in backing up as well, another reserve offensive line. But the Battlehawks are dealing with a couple injuries, well, a lot of injuries, and for them to be ranked on the one in the XFL conference with these injuries, it's a testament to AJ McCarron, in that wide receiver group, and Bruce, offensive coordinator Bruce Gronkowski has been getting the ball out of AJ's hand much quicker now, because of other injuries up front. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. But with the Roughnecks, um, with their pass width and the injuries they're having on their deepest line, it should be pretty much even. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch as well. But Darius Shepard is back, so he will be back on special teams front. Blake Jackson did a good job against decent defenders on kickoff return last week. But to have Darius Shepard, their all-purpose receiver, back full goal, was a full participant on Thursday. It's huge for the Battlehawks, and I think that's the star of the day.
Gotcha. We'll look forward to it, man. I should put some money on him on DFS, huh?
Yeah, most definitely.
All right, let's roll on the Sunday games unless you got anything else regarding the Saturday games.
My own concern is the linemen, linemen for all teams. Besides for the Birmingham Stallions, couple of these teams have some hits to the defense line and offensive line, and this proves how important these guys are, and and especially during this upcoming offseason after the season, you're going to see a lot of these teams target linemen. In the draft or free agency to try to boost through that load as well. So that's something to keep an eye out on throughout the season.
Yes, sir. Agreed. And there should be plenty of men available for those positions. There's plenty of other leagues to pick from for sure that guys are already playing in or attempting to play in right now.
Yes.
All right, let's roll on to Sunday. We got the Renegades at Michigan Panthers. That game starts at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
Yeah.
There's a lot of injuries here for both of these teams, seems like, in my opinion. I mean, I know, like, a lot of these guys aren't out. There's only 3 that are out, I believe. Let me go to the inactive list. So what I'm doing, guys, I'm going back and looking at the inactive list because it gets updated. Yep. So, yeah, Bunami. Wrong team.
Yeah.
There we go.
So,
all right, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Bunami's out. Jalen Redmond's out. Drew Samia is out. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that's all that's on this list at least, and we have some inactives, of course. But yeah, what do you think so far about this Renegades team, man? I mean, they got to get a win at some point. It's kind of sad to see this team doing so good in offense and they cannot get the win. It's kind of depressing. Makes me sad for them.
Interesting enough, the first couple of games of the season, the Renegades was up the first half, and this team cannot hold a lead, and that's largely due to their defense and their secondary. We have a couple guys out today. You mentioned before, Drew Samia suffered a brutal neck injury. He is out, and for the Arlington Renegades to still be, Luis Perez still be able to be one of the top leaders of passing and at the same time, getting hit a lot, says it says that there are issues other than injuries within that organization. But going back to the injuries part, we do have a lot of people that was in limited practice this week. You got Tyler Vaughns, one of the top receiver, was limited this week, but he is full go. You have Will Clark having back issues this week. Did not practice on Wednesday. Limited on Thursday and Friday. How would that affect him today? He is listed as probable, but as a defense that is struggling right now, they need every man on deck. It might cause some concerns. You got Jalen Redmond, defensive tackle, left ankle out. But it's been a tough week. They're had a lot of players on limited action. But we got Day Hunter back as well. He played a little bit last week. He should get some more touches as well. And Brown, their two, and then Brown, their second string running back. So we're going to see how this offense operate. With a couple of the running backs banged up, and a plethora of their defensive linemen banged up. With Carter and Lambert. What is Bob Stoops is going to do? What's the play call? What's going to happen today to stop this Michigan Panthers team that also deals with injuries as well? So yeah, it's a must needed win today. I mean, they're 0-5. So you never would have thought that we would talk about the Arlington Renegades as 0-5 under Bob Stoops and the XFL championship MVP Luis Perez, but here we are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then Letty Brown. Let's talk about that. That seems like an impactful one for them. He's kind of like a go-to guy for Louise on certain things. So curious to see how that works out as well.
The third down back, a guy that can catch out of the backfield. Out of the backfield. Can run between the tackles, can go sideline to sidelines. He is the all-purpose back. He has been getting a lot of flack. I guess the first couple of games of the season where he didn't get the first down or the drop pass, but he is special. And for him to be limited with that another hamstring, hamstrings can be tricky, Matt, as we all know, especially for running backs. So I expect Day Hunter to get a lot more touches today, and we're gonna see what the Arlington Renegades do.
Let's look at the rushing for Renegades. So right now, looking at the top 10 rushers, Renegades aren't even on the board.
Yeah, they're
yeah. So 14 and 15 is where they lie. Devion Smith with 123 total yards, 2.9 average. Letty Brown, total of 122 yards, 3.2 average. So yeah, they got to get a running game going. I hope they can do it, man. I really do.
They're sixth in the league in rushing right now. So they're averaging around 70 yards per game in rushing. So they need all their running backs on the field, and with a couple of them banged up, it's going to lead the pressure is going to be on Luis Perez on the pass to lead the Renegades to victory, and that's been one of the main problems. Is the Luis Perez is being put in positions where he has to come from behind, or where he does get put them in the lead, then that defense, struggles and then give up that lead. It's been a lot of pressure on him and leading him to also getting more hits, more sacks, and a lot of frustration on that sideline. So we're gonna see what happens today.
Let's roll on. You ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
Michigan Panthers. Let's go. No, we talked about them. I'll tell you, I talked about them last week. During the show, and we had a discussion. This team looked a lot different without EJ Prairie. and leading the pack. It seemed like a whole nother squad, in my opinion, man. So
That's a lot to say, though. That's a
I
lot.
know.
That's a
It
lot to
looks.
say.
It's gonna be. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But that team last week, they looked good. That the Michigan team looked good, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
A lot of injuries on the board. We got John Hightower, wide receiver, out. Gavin Holmes, wide receiver, out. Gabriel Floyd, outside linebacker, out. Jarrett Horse, tackle, out. Daniel Wise, D tackle, out. And yeah, so we got pretty good injuries there for Michigan. No doubt about it.
A lot of injuries, actually. A lot. I mean, let's put it lightly. But it says a lot about Mike Nolan. Though he is a disciplined coach that will have his team prepared to play. He has been managing Danny Etlin, who has been dealing with a injury as well. But a lot of the skills positions, their wide receivers have been banged up. Sims was banged up last week as well, but he was full to go or game day. But it's a tale of the Michigan Panthers. They did look good last week. But I it's a lot of injuries, especially at the wide receiver position. In their tight ends, dealing with Gunnar Oaks, dealing with a quad injury. His full to go. But you got their offensive lineman, a couple offensive linemen out today. But Michigan Panthers, man. I mean, they were the darlings of week one with that kick. But they couldn't catch a break a couple weeks after a couple tough losses for them. But yeah, Michigan fans should be impressed with this team because they're always fighting. The defense is one that the defense is, one of the best in the league. I mean, number 2 in stopping the run, and but struggled in stopping the pass, and largely due with injuries in that backfield. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. But we got their star safety in the backfield for Pakua, and he should be in the NFL next year because that guy's it's leading the league in interceptions. But yeah, the Michigan Panthers are dealing with a lot of injuries, and a lot of players are out this week. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be competitive against a struggling Arlington Renegades team.
Yeah, the Renegades defense has not been able to stop anyone so far. So
yeah,
we'll see how this plays out. But I'm sure. I mean, we're gonna see Michigan do its thing.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Mike Nolan, man, he's a tricks of all trades, man. But that passing defense, that secondary outside the core, it's those two corners have been getting hit hard, man, on the deep ball, and it leaves the question: will they bring other players in? I know a lot of teams been active and on the wire and sign players, but where they look for adding a cornerback or another safety to sign to solidify that back end, because we're only 5 weeks away from the playoffs and every game matters. And if you don't have your secondary tight or fixed, then it could lead to issues in the long run. But like I said, beside that, the Michigan Panthers are dealing with a lot of injuries offensively, especially the wide receiver position. We're going to see what happens with that. But it's going to be interesting to see how their offensive line hold up as well. So, a lot of these games I will be evaluating. I think we all will to see how these injuries impact these teams. And, yeah, we should see how the Michigan Panthers hold up against the Renegades.
Yes, sir. So, guys at home, this game's Sunday. That's tomorrow, May 5th. Arlington Renegades, Michigan Panthers, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Both the games on Sunday are on Fox, by the way, if you're listening.
Yep.
All right, let's roll into our last game of the week. And this is going to be the game of the week for me. I'm ready for this one.
Mm,
The San Antonio Brahmas at DC Defenders. The game starts at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's on Fox as well. So
yeah.
looking at Brahmas, I mean, we got a couple impactful injuries for sure. You got Anthony McFarland out, Tim Ward out. Both
Tough.
of those guys are really active for that team, no doubt. So curious to see how they kind of bounce back from that. What do you think so far about the Brahmas injury list?
I mean, the fact they're at where they are, dealing with a lot of their starters that with injuries, says a lot. As you call Wade Phillips, this what happened to Houston Roughnecks last year with Wade Phillips and that team. They started off high, and the injuries that they just caught the injury bug, and it affected their team throughout the second half of that season. But I think Wade Phillips, learned and used a couple of different methods in building depth within their secondary in that offense. But for the biggest one on here is Anthony McFarland.
Yep.
He's been week one, man. He's been, special. He's been leading the charge. Even with Chase Garbers was struggling, he was very consistent. John Levitt had picked up the slack and running the ball. But McFarland, he's been good, and right now the Brahmas are sitting here fourth in rushing, and then they're and they're sitting in third and throwing the ball as well. So even though they have suffered a lot of injuries on the offensive end, and with McFarland being out, that has to slow down this this San Antonio offense. On the other hand, on that secondary, man, the biggest eye-popping one is Darius Phillips. He dealing with a growing injury. He did not practice this week. He is listed as out. He is their starting cornerback, and then and we're going to see what happened there. We do have a couple starters for San Antonio Brahmas. Corey Mayfield will be starting today, along with Tabor, who was signed back to the San Antonio team. So we're going to see how how that team hold up against the DC defenders we will get to them, but have been struggling as well on their end. Tim Ward, another one, a big loss, dealing with knee injury. He is listed as out. One of the pass rushers and a guy that helps that San Antonio team stop the run. And Delonte Scott, man, he was back last week, but the week before he was out, but he did not practice on Thursday and Friday. And he's still dealing with that shoulder injury. And he is the top pass rusher for the Brahmas. You do got Williams taking charge of the linebacker core, but with Delonte Scott dealing with injury, listed as doubtful, by the way. But we'll see what happens tomorrow and see if that upgrades to maybe questionable or probable. But it looks like he may be out. But yeah, man, the defense are taking a hit for Wade Phillips. But like I said before, Wade Phillips has great depth and on that defense. He still he still got Beckett back there, Jordan Williams. Who will be an All Pro this year in the UFL. Man, he's been showing out. But you got AJ Handy as well, who been playing well. But in all, I mean, they have been hit with the injury bug in on that defense, and we want to see how they hold up against the DC defenders.
Yes, sir. I thought it was. I noticed as well. I seen Alize Mack was ahead of Cody Latimer on the depth chart as tied in. I was curious about that. I know Cody's been kind of battling with some injuries as well.
Yeah, he has actually. And I think the AJ offensive coordinator for the
AJ Smith.
San Antonio Brahmas it's taking precautions with with Lattimore. Elijah Mack has been healthier, and he does help with that run and that run blocking game as well.
Yep.
Because he's a lot more physical, a lot bigger by that. He gained a lot of muscle throughout the off season. But yeah, but Cody should see some action. We should see the two tight end action for the San Antonio Brahmas as well. So that doesn't mean Cody Lattimore will be out again, but I believe they are monitoring him, like looking at him to see where he at. But yeah, he's been full go in practice this week. No, he has been on the injury radar. But yeah, it's we should see both today against these defenders team, which have been struggling to say the least defensively for Greg Williams. Wow, but yeah. Other than that, we should see.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, this is one I'm definitely watching. No doubt. Wouldn't miss this game.
Yeah.
Going through some comments. Sorry, guys, if I haven't worked in the comments. We've just been trying to make sure I'm getting the right stuff up for you to see. What's up, Jackie? Jackie's heading to a game, hanging at the airport with Brahma Bay, but headed to DC. Y'all enjoy it now. Chris Mason. DC looked all right, but seems to be on a downhill slope to me. Injuries. So yeah, let's get on DC next. And I'll just go ahead and let you talk this one out, man, because on this list it's only got 2 injuries. That's Francis Bernard, linebacker, and Garion Conley. He's a cornerback. A hamstring and groin for both of those guys. I mean, that's tough injury, hamstring or groin. It doesn't matter which one you're looking at. Defense for here has been kind of questionable, and so I'm curious to see how this works out as well for them. It seems like this team can get in it and get right back out of it real fast. So, what do you think?
Well, where can we start? I mean, Gary Conley had high expectations coming into the season as one of the high draft picks in the NFL. But he's dealt with a lot of injuries this season. Let's just start. The defense in general for the DC defenders. Defensively, they have had their struggles. They ranked dead last in stopping the pass. And for Greg Williams' defense to say that, it's kind of concerning. We see DJ Stranger got released this week, and
XFLMikeG.
Yeah, and I think that's largely due to the fact they're trying to shake things up in the backfield. I mean, total defense. They are ranked last behind Arlington Renegades. That says a lot because Arlington Renegades secondaries has been, give up a lot, and in total our DC defenders has been week 5 and they gave up over 1,600 yards in total. But more concerning, they gave up over 1,100 yards from the pass. So it's been a struggle. And large and I want to put this out there. It's not all the DC defenders' fault. The DC defenders' defense fault. The main problem is the DC offense cannot convert on third down or keep on shutting out. And this offense is not the same from last season, and that's largely due to Lucky Jackson not being there, Hammond not being there. A lot of their skill positions from last year, people kind of brushed it under the rug, but this is a whole new wide receiver and tight end group, and the inconsistencies within this offense and this run game, with Avión being on IR and not playing this season, affected the way Jordan Teamo has been playing. And a lot of been put on him. And we're finding out is, you gotta give credit to a lot of that offensive skill positions from last year, Lucky Jackson and the crew. But going back to the injuries, on paper, the DC defenders are not dealing with a lot, but Francis Bernard is a big one who is out dealing with a calf injury. but we do have Trent Harris as well. One of the all XFL players from last season. He didn't practice on Wednesday, was limited on Thursday, dealing with a hamstring. So these hamstring, we've been dealing with a lot of hamstring, Matt, with these teams, a lot of growing hamstring. And, like I said before, hamstrings are not easy to come back. Um, to come back from, especially if you're a running back or a linebacker slash DN guy who has to go from sideline to sideline. But we're gonna see what this team does. But the DC Defenders, they have been struggling, and their time possession has been low, one of the lowest in the team. I mean, lowest in the league. And that's more largely because they can't convert on third down, and they're having trouble scoring. And they had a lot of times they had to come back from late, and we saw that with the St. Louis Battlehawks. That that team couldn't just they couldn't get nothing going. And Reggie Barlow head coach Reggie Barlow has been preaching about the next game and the points of the next game, trying to get this team motivated. But it's hard to get a team motivated when your offense is not pulling its weight and it's leaving this defense hang out to dry. So we're going to see how this defense does against San Antonio Brahmas, who defense is known for getting after the quarterback, even though they're dealing with a lot of injuries. And San Antonio Brahmas had to have inconsistency offensively, and throwing the ball under Quentin Dormady for some time for the past couple of weeks. So a lot of these teams have a lot of both of these teams has question marks, but no bigger question mark is this defenders team that people have ranked in the top four coming into the season and playoff bound. So to see this team in this position, yeah, it's kind of concerning.
Yeah, I mean, Tamu's the third best quarterback in the league right now. But man, you see that percentage complete 52.1. That's low. That's low.
Yeah,
So, it's
yeah,
not all his fault when you watch these games though. There's balls being tipped and dropped,
hmm
and so it's not all him for sure. And I hope the
it's
best for this
mostly the
DC
skills.
squad. What'd you
It's
say?
mostly the wide receiver position because I'm so sorry to cut you off, Matt.
You're
It's
fine. Go ahead.
mostly wide receiver. It's mostly wide receivers. We saw Pookie, the wide receiver got released the other week. A lot of these wide receivers are out of position, are cutting on their routes, and leading to Jordan having to hold on to the ball and make plays with his legs. And because there are a non-factor in running the ball as well. Harris has been stepping up a little bit, but they are ranked fifth in rushing the ball. But largely that's because Jordan Thomas is using his legs because wide receivers cannot get open downfield. And yeah, it's gonna be kind of feel sorry for Jordan because he had high expectations coming into the season as the XFL as one of the teams that went to the XFL championship. So a lot of people had high expectations for this team, but yeah, they have internal issues that they have to figure out, and it starts with that depth on that back end of the DC defender secondary.
And watching last week, did you watch the game last week?
Yes.
So after the game, Reggie Barlow came in and was talking to the guys, and he was like, "Hey, it's not on you, man. That's on us as coaches. We just got to get better prepared, get you guys ready, and get this thing rolling." So I really value that leadership though, because he's willing to
Yeah.
put it on his back to improve this team and get them where they need to be.
But game tape don't lie. That's the
Yeah.
that's the that's the biggest thing. Game tape don't lie. A lot of these secondaries, with Bernard then everybody else, they seem uncomfortable back there. Maybe because they're older. Michael Joseph is not, has been getting picked on a lot. He was a guy that was special last year that would make plays on the ball, and was basically a ball hawk. He's been targeted a lot this season down the field. On his end, is it because of age and stuff? it's something to assess going to the off season what this team does. They are, I believe, Greg Williams. He is disgusted right now because this is not the type of style he likes to play. Um, you know, which is conservative. He likes to get after the quarterback. He likes to blitz, but it's hard to blitz when your secondary can't hold up. So that's the one of the big things. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do in the draft. I will be doing a big board soon on the draft and some of the prospects that's going to be coming along, but they need to fix that secondary, man. It's enough is enough, because if you the more time if you can't stop top teams like the Battlehawks or like the Birmingham Stallions, because that game was close. That's one of the best games of the season, where they had that game. They had it,
Yeah.
but they gave up key plays down the field on that last
Mm-hmm.
drive. It's like, come on. But yeah, we'll see what happens today. It's not going to be an easy task, but they are at home. They will have that DC crowd, which they turned out last week. They turned out, over 16,000 in that stadium. It's nothing to scoff at. But to be 2-3, you need a win right here. You need one bad.
Yes, sir. Agreed. They need one as well just to stay in it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
tough.
just
When
look
you
at
look
this
at that
conference.
XFL conference, man, it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been tough for it's mainly because of injuries with Memphis, man. Let's just call it what it is. The offensive line has not performed at all. Giving up big hits. Case Cook is being hit a lot. Not able to run the ball. Relying on Case Cook's arm and Papali, their wide receiver, who I believe he has been very impressive this season, I might add. But the bottom of the USFL conference has been struggling, but I'm not going to ignore the XFL conference team as well. DC defenders and Arlington Renegades, they should have been much better this season, as well, which has been disappointing. And on my big board coming to the season, I call a lot of flack. I rated San Antonio Brahmas as a top 14 coming to the season, and everybody laughed. And I said, oh well, they do have experienced coaching staff, and they do have a lot of depth, especially in that backfield of secondary. And the biggest question mark we all question was why start Chase Garbers, and we see why. The young kid is spicy. He's the Ben DiNucci of the NFL. I mean, of the UFL. To talk trash, get his guys motivated. It sucked that he got injured. I watched a lot of James Larson's posts. He might come back at the end of the season, and will be exciting. And I think it'll be exciting for the UFL on UFL. But yeah, with the Memphis Showboats and the Houston Roughnecks, and with the crowds issues and stuff like that, it's been a tough season. Arlington, even though they're 0-5, they had an increase in their crowds this past week. Their last home game. Sorry, but that was a confidence booster for UFL fans, and it tells you a lot about the market. These local markets are growing. It takes time. It's their first year. So next year we should see some improvement. But I think this will be a better UFL draft this offseason. So these teams that are struggling now with the offensive line and defensive line, they will be targeting a lot of these players in the draft. And I believe a lot of these college players who didn't get drafted or get cut will get cut this upcoming training camp, are seeing the UFL as an option now. But these teams have to perform. They have to perform, and yeah, it's Memphis. Let's be honest, Memphis is Houston. We kind of expected them to be in this position with all the question marks coming into the season,
For sure.
especially with Mark Thompson being hurt, starting off. But that Arlington team, man, I expected so much more. So much
We
more.
all did, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to look different when they go into the draft, because at least it's going to be developed. They'll know what they're drafting towards. It's not just, hey, let's make a team. So it'll be cool when it has a reasoned direction.
Yeah, I think just one more thing.
Yeah, hurry up. We got to wrap it up. Game's about to start.
Yes, sir. I think Michigan. I think Mike Nolan should be one of the top candidates for Coach of the Year. So that's my last comments. But I've been very impressive with his coaching and motivating his team, and he has his team on the right path.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good coaches. I mean, I don't know. I like the San Antonio coaches right now, personally. But like I said, I have a soft spot for Houston Roughnecks as well, just because they used to be the Roughnecks. So,
yeah.
But absolutely. Yeah, man, I agree with you. We're gonna get ready to hop off the air. The game start in 4 minutes. If you're listening right now, guys. Remember, it's on ABC. This first one coming up. So, yeah, Avión, I appreciate you joining me for the injury update. Let's meet again sometime and talk. It's been a good time. I appreciate it again. Check out his posts on Twitter, guys, and anything you want to say or shout out before we roll off there.
All right. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Matt, for having me on.
You're very welcome, man. We'll talk again soon. Have a good night or day and enjoy these games.
Yes, sir. And good luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, guys. That's it for me as well. It's time to watch some games. Enjoy your Saturday, and we'll talk Tuesday. Mark Nelson, 7:30 p.m. Central. See you later, guys.
Go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home. Touchdown like an end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone.